All right, we're good. So worried about. Good evening, everyone. This is Sheneè Woodson, the founder of His Favor Ministries. And can I tell you how excited I am tonight to be with you? You are about to experience some great information. You're about to receive some insight when it comes to some things that some people may not want to talk about. However, I have some gentlemen with me today that are going to be, guess what, open and honest with me in regards to the topics at hand. And they are healing the hurting man, being the head and not the tail, breaking all men. Our dog's mentality and the female narcissist. Now, I will put it out there. We might, go away from some of the topics depending on what you all put in the comments. But before I even get started, I just want to say that I am thankful for each and every one of you that are tuning in or are watching, maybe not now, but later. I just want to say thank you for your support these past few months in the transition of seeing a new editor-in-chief of His Favor magazine, a new magazine coming out. And then we got in March, we got 2 more magazines coming, Heartbeat magazine and His Favor Teen is relaunching. And then I have to highlight, why not? Because we have all men tonight. Men of Favor will be launched in June, the Tuesday before Father's Day. And I'm so excited about that. And someone asked me, why are you doing a men's magazine? Why not? Okay. And I said, I have so many people, friends, and that are close to me and other women. And I get it, women, power to us. We are doing it right now, but we have to be mindful that the men are still the leaders in our homes and our communities. And I think we've lost contact with that. And I'm a woman and I'm proud of us as women, trust me. But I still wanted to highlight and make sure that we still acknowledge the men, our fathers, our brothers, our male friends, our husbands, our boyfriends, whatever that man is in your life, that we still acknowledge them. And also these men tonight are going to give those men who may not feel like the head in their home or in their communities, and give them some hope, some type of encouragement to let them know, yes, you may not be where you need to be right now, but we're here to help you tonight. And I'm so excited. So before I get into my soapbox and start talking and forget they're even on here, you know how I can get what's talking. I will give one more shout out. I see we already have some people from the His Favor team tuning in. They're behind the scenes already sharing the post. I even see my little sister. Okay, God, I see you. My little sister, biological sister, is online. So that means my mother is watching too. Hey, mommy. Oh man, this is great. Having my family on, y'all don't even know how excited I am. But without further ado, let me introduce you to some of our writers and field correspondents and those in the His Favor administration team. Yes, they are with me. Just a few of them. We have a few that's not on, but these men, I specifically asked to be a part of this because I knew they will give some great insight, and with their knowledge, and I know what they speak about. I know maybe more personally than others. However, I just know we have a good I'm excited. So let me shut up. All right. So again, welcome to Open and Honest with the Fam. So let's start. I want to introduce first. He's a newbie to the crew. His name is Carl Cox. Carl is a writer for Fearless Life magazine, our newest magazine. And I will say this, I'm so excited to have him a part of the team. Carl is like that cheerleader that you're like, if I'm having a bad day and no one else is liking what I'm doing, best believe Carl is going to give you some encouragement, and he's going to say something like, hey, Carl sees my comment. He saw my post. But thank you for joining us, Carl. Carl, before we get started, just give him like a minute of who you are. I want you to introduce yourself.
Wow. So I think the most important thing for me as a man is a husband to wife Jamaica, father to son Joseph Allen. That's who I am first and foremost. My main objective is creating intentional men. That's a ministry that I have. I want to see men full of morals, men full of humility, and defenders of those in their sphere of influence. That's what I want. I want men to go back and take their rightful place, biblically, first and foremost. That's what I want, and that's what we're going to get going tonight. So I'm ready.
Oh, he is definitely ready. I will let you all know. That's why we're all smiling. We definitely know Carl is ready. He's like, I can't, every day, I can't wait. It's coming. The countdown is here. It's an hour. 2 minutes. He was like, 2 minutes left. All right, next, I'm going to introduce my friend. And I kind of miss him because we haven't had that many conversations like we used to, but he's kind of looking, is she talking about me? Yes, Mr. Antoine Garrett. I am talking about you. If you saw our last issue that came out, he actually was the one who interviewed Bishop Walter Scott Thomas. So you're going to see a lot more of Antoine, not just writing. I'm saving him to do interviews. Like, Antoine is very good at interviewing with his radio show and all the things that he do. But I'm going to let him introduce himself. I don't want to take away from anything that he wants you all to know. So pastor, minister, the man, Antoine Garrett.
Hey, family. First and foremost, thank you for the invitation. And I'm just excited to be here with the brothers. Yes, my name is Antoine Garrett. AG, as most folks call me. What am I passionate about? Man. What I'm so passionate about is making sure that folks give credit where credit is due. The ministry that my wife and I started is All God. Know God, love God, serve God. And that's really it, right? Because in contemporary culture, I've seen so much about people talking about being self-made, and God is left out of the equation. And so my goal through the ministry is to put God up front and to put God everywhere, right? And to help spread God's word. Tonight's conversation, though, is one that I'm extremely passionate about because it's about men. It's about giving some insight into the mind of men, but also, changing the narrative. Too many things are told about us. So it's time we tell our story, open and honest, and we can all move forward as brothers together.
Thank you so much. I had to make sure I wasn't muted. And the next person, I have to do this because he's another person that's like the cheerleader of his favor. I'm going to introduce next Mr. Raymond Pretlow. How did you know? You already had your finger ready. Mr. Raymond Pretlow. Raymond is an entrepreneur. He's that person to go to in regards to your finances. He is like the man when it comes to that particular area. He has done events in the past, but again, I'm not a type of person that likes to, make people just say how I know them, but I want Raymond to introduce himself and what he brings to the table today.
Thank you, Sheneè, for that introduction. My name is Raymond Lives, aka Raymond Pretlow. Raymond Lives is more of my professional name, but I have the honor to be a man, and in this day and age, as you had alluded to earlier, women's empowerment has been yelling for the last 10 years. And has silenced the voices of men to the point where, we do dumb stuff and we have made dumb mistakes. And the voices of men have not been able to have a stage. But platforms like this and other platforms are giving us an opportunity to speak against the narrative, because right now there's a war against men. There's a war against what we stand for, who we are. And it's a good opportunity for me to just be a man of my word, be a man of authority, be a man of excellence, be a man of leadership, and in every area of my life. And that's what I've been, doing lately, is living my life out loud, and so that's what I'm all about. Purpose is my thing. yeah, financial thing is my thing, but I'm more so all about the heartbeat of God, and that's about His people, that's about His men, and doing what we have to do in these last days, and that's really what I'm all about right now. So thank you for having me. I'm excited about what we're about to talk about tonight. Some juicy conversations that we have in store for everybody. So thank you again, Sheneè, for having us all.
Thank you. And you next, Elder G in the building. All right. The elder is in the building. I don't even want to say in regards to Elder G. Elder G is that person who has definitely, ladies and gentlemen, has helped me in so many areas, and I'll just keep it at that. So Elder G, I just want to I'm just gonna sit back and just let you share with the people who Elder G is. That's all.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me tonight. This is a great honor to actually be live with brothers coming together. I believe where there's unity, there's strength. One of the things that I'm really, 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 it's really the heartbeat of what I'm doing as far as ministry and also business. And that is changing a generation one life at a time. And if we are going to change a generation, we have to start with the men. And with us being the head, we need to be able to make sure that we are in a place to be able to lead our families, not just husbands and wives, but we're talking families as a whole. We're talking communities and society. Change starts with us, and we have to start looking internally so we can then bring about a change and make an impact by changing a generation one life at a time.
Yes, I love his tag. And if you ever on Instagram, you'll always hear him say that at the end of his power up with the elder. So, but last but not least, my brother. Anybody who knows me knows Corey. We are very close. Corey, when I first started out in the transition of His Favor Ministries, he has been a huge asset. Some of the people that have been involved with His Favor came from his referral. Corey is going to be helping out towards the end. You're going to see me fade out a little bit, and I'm going to let him do his thing as a host, because that's what he does. He's an Emmy Award winning producer, photographer, so many things. And again, I don't want to not do you justice, Corey. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and then we're going to dive right into it.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be here. Thanks, sis, for allowing me to get up on here. You know me, I speak, but I don't speak too much. You know, I'm a very few words, and then those words are very, very calculated. But I think for me, I want to speak tonight to the heart of the man that probably has found himself falling away from God, dysfunctional, and needs to be regenerated. And to know that just because he's failed doesn't mean he doesn't have a place at the seat of the table. Just because he failed doesn't mean that he deserves less honor. It just means that he needs to learn how to be restored in where he has fallen from and get back in his rightful position and let that honor be bestowed upon him. So I'm that kind of guy that, like, I'm too old for games, and I'm gonna keep it straight 100 with people. You know what I mean? I'm 49 years old, if God willing, gracing 50 this year. I ain't got time for it. And a lot of things that I do, I have 4 amazing children that are doing their thing. My son is on his way to my oldest daughter. She just got a huge job working on economic development here in Tulsa. She's a young go-getter, written 2 books. My second oldest daughter, she got her degree. Then my second oldest daughter got her degree. She's doing her thing with sales and also making a run for acting and stuff like that. After she got the degree though, no children. And then my son, he just graduated, but now he's making his run for the NFL and he's in training camp. And then my youngest, my baby, she's in her junior year and she's on her way to graduating and getting her degree. So as a father, as a man, my thing is that knowing what it's like to be on the mountaintop, but also to be in the valley, making sure that the next generation can glean from my errors, making sure they can glean from my mistakes, and so that they can be a better product of what it is that God intended for us to be. Now, I don't discount myself because God still got use for me, but at the same time, I want to pour into them as much as I can so that they can be the greatest that God wants them to be. So that's why I'm here tonight, and I want to be able to share that love to younger generations as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Corey. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, I see a jump just happened in the views. If you're just tuning in, we are here. This is open and honest with the fam. Last month, we had the ladies, but now it's the men's turn. And I'm going to dive right into it. The first subject I want to talk about, and the reason why I want to talk about this now is because I actually had a conversation with someone earlier this week, a friend of mine from high school, and he was going through some things, and he said, I don't understand why some people don't get that men hurt too. They hurt also. So, you know, just because I have a few tears right now and I'm upset, why does that make me a chump? Why does that make me a punk? Because, you know, I'm upset right now. I got some tears falling down my face, and I'm not going to say what he's going through, but and I was sitting there talking to him. I said, this is why I cannot wait until Thursday, because I feel like a lot of men are at that moment where it's like, because, you know, and I have brothers, I got a couple of them, and it was always, you know, toughen up, you know, what you crying for, you know, get it together. You hurt, brush it off, keep it going. So I'm going to start off with you, Antoine, and just really addressing, why do you think, not just because of the men's upbringing, but more and more men are feeling like we don't acknowledge the fact that they're hurting? Like, where is that coming from, you feel?
Interesting that you would have this question. I got a text. I just looked at my phone. I got a text the other day from a young man who I'm associated with, who's 18. And he said, I want to ask this question. If a man cries or shows emotions, does it make him any less of a man? And we went through this back and forth the other night talking about this. And the reality is, for so long, generations, we've been taught that men are supposed to be strong, and to show emotion somehow makes us weak. And so it's been ingrained in men for generations to withhold their emotion, not show it, not let a tear drop. And if you did, you were somehow weak. I come against that, right? I'm a crier. Like, listen, if you know me, you know I don't have a problem shedding a tear. You know, if things touch me a certain kind of way, you're going to see a tear. But that's okay, though. It don't make me weak. It just means I'm in touch with my emotions. And that's what listen, in relationship, you want someone who is more in touch with their emotions than closed off in this hollow shell, because then they can't relate to your experience. Me being able to be emotional allows me to experience a sense of compassion and empathy for other people who I'm in relationship with. We hurt, but we've been taught, it's been ingrained in us, it's been pushed down on us, it's been beat into us, right? As a child, I got told, don't cry, and if you do, I'm gonna get, like, I was told I would be given something to cry for because I was hurting.
That was it.
Seriously? I mean, and I don't fault them because that's what was told to them, but at the same time, I hold them responsible because that's what that don't listen. I'm really, in the last 10 years, just opening up because I went through a young adulthood closed off, which damaged relationships with friends, my wife, my own family members, because I didn't want to let anybody know when I was hurting. So it's a tough thing, Sheneè, you know, and hopefully we you know, the other brothers I know got some stuff to share, but part of it is generationally, we've been told not to emote, and that's done us a tremendous disservice.
Wow. Carl, and I'm coming to you because I just feel that you're I don't know, I'm just being led right now. To that gentleman that's out there that is still struggling with what AG is talking about, what would you say to them? They're hearing what he said, but they're still struggling. Like, okay, I get what y'all saying. I need to be in touch with my emotions, but yeah, I'm still just gonna I still feel like a punk. You know what I'm saying? So what would you say to that person? How can they get past that that feeling?
First, it's by design. The enemy has it set up that way because it's about isolation. If I can make you think you're on a river or an island by yourself, no one understands your hurt, your pain, your feelings, keep it bottled inside, then he isolates you. Then he can torment you. John 10:10, the thief kills but to do what? Steal, kill, and destroy. So my thing is ownership, extreme ownership. First, and this was something I had to deal with, you have to acknowledge your hurt. Men don't want to acknowledge your hurt. We walk in denial, like he said, ego. I don't want to be weak. I don't want to be a punk. And so you begin to block out trauma, which creates a bondage. You're now in bondage because of that. Whether it's abandonment or adoption or daddy issues, you didn't feel like you were good enough for your dad. He didn't tell you he loved you. That's a generational thing. Well, I provide for you, so that's how you know I love you. Or like in my case, being bullied. What happens is we have got to recognize that if you're not careful and you can't identify the root of this issue, you're going to be kept in bondage for the rest of your life. It's going to interfere with your family. Like he said, everything he said, you have to accept it, and then you have to deal with the root. Right? So you see the fruit of what it's producing, but you have to deal with the root of the whole thing. So what hurt you, who hurt you, either go to them or address it properly. And then once you begin to do that, then you can begin to move on. Maybe it's, I heard something the other day. I've never heard this, by the way, about writing a closure letter. Have any of you guys heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like, so-and-so, you did this or that or whatever. Never send it to them. And burn it, throw it away, right. I think Tyler Perry said he did that. I'm not for certain. But what happens is that's your way of identifying, you're accepting it, and then now you begin the process of moving on. Whether that is allowing God to do in it. One of the biggest things I have found in my life is what we're doing right now. Find you a band of brothers that say, it's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to feel your hurt. It's okay for you to get mad. We're not going to judge you. We're help to heal you. We're here to help restore you back and work through these issues. I think that's not going on enough with men, and that is my entire passion, is allowing men to realize you're not by yourself. I did that for long enough. I had a conversation with my pastor this morning about that. I thought for years I didn't need anybody. Now I realize that's not good. It's not healthy. So that's what, find you some brothers that you can depend on, that can help pour into your life, and you can grow together and help you work through some of these issues. And unless you want to also go professionally and find help for that, which I think is a great thing too. That's not a bad thing.
Thank you, Carl. Ladies and gentlemen, again, those of you who have tuned in, we are here for Open and Honest with the Family. Topics are healing the hurting man, being the head and not the tail, breaking all men are dogs mentality, and the female narcissist. So because I do see some females, let me shout them out. Look, hollering at his favorite family. They're okay. Shamika, my sister. Hello, Sharika, and is it Alexia? Do I have you right? I'm making sure I have I do not like getting people's name wrong because I don't like people calling me Sheneè. All right. So the next one, Raymond. I'm still want to piggyback off of this, but because now we have quite a few females on right now, I want to ask you this. All right, now we're talking about still talking about healing the hurting man. How do you feel women are to approach that hurting man? Not just in a relation. I'm even talking about mamas and sisters, females in general. How are we? Because a lot of us, when we see, I remember the first time I saw a man cry, I was like, what the heck? Like, what are you doing? I'm supposed to be the one crying and on your shoulder, and pouring my heart out. Why are you sitting over here crying? I think I was like 19 years old and he was boo-hooing. And it shocked me because I seen my dad cry. It's my father, but this particular part, I'm like, wait a minute, I never seen it. So it threw me off. But when I realized the whole root of it, and he finally poured his heart out, I'm like, oh wow. So wow, men do have feelings. I was 19 years old. So talk to that, though, these us women, period. Like how do we address that man who's hurting?
Well, thank you for asking that question. It's no coincidence that you asked me that question. I had back in 2015, I think it was, I had a series entitled Healing Our Men, hashtag Heal Our Men. And that was a month-long conversation. It was a conference call. It was like every week, I think it was, I forgot. It was a lot of sessions, but it was a combination of men and women that was speaking to the fact that men are not given the opportunity to heal. People don't think that men need to heal because, as he said earlier, we were taught and raised to be tough. We were taught to be, macho man, not taught to shed a tear. And so when it comes to the mindset of a man healing, people don't think that men need to heal because they just keep going. They're leaders. They don't have time to stop and shed a tear. And so over the course of that month, I've learned that, and it started off from a conversation with a friend of mine who asked me, Raymond, how can men heal? Like, what would help a man to heal? And I said, think about it. If God created a man to be a leader, and he has scars, who will be the more likely person to point out those scars? The woman that's right next to him. Who will be the person that will highlight some issues that he might see or might not see, but it needs to be dealt with? The woman right next to him. And I said, believe it or not, I do believe that the person that has been designed by God to help heal men are the women that are around us. Yes, it doesn't sound all that great, but if you think about the scars from the past and when we grew up, and over that month, I've learned that a lot of our scars started from a childhood. It started when our mothers or our brothers would verbally put their I would say their emotions on our will, and they limited us based on what they were feeling out of anger. And it was like, okay, wow, I didn't know that a word spoken harshly to a child can dictate the rest of his life, and that is so true. A lot of men, maybe on this meeting, have heard in their lifetime, listen, you don't have time to cry. You gotta get off your knees and you gotta keep going. And the more we heard keep going, the less we heard stop and handle your emotions. It took me I would say 3 years of psychological professional assistance by a psychiatrist, because I had an anger issue that I didn't know how to handle. And I would fight the bullies. I wasn't being bullied. I would fight the bullies and kick some butt. But I didn't know how to say out my mouth how I feel, because it just wasn't something that I was taught to do. I had to learn how to be open, honest, and transparent after I got a divorce. Why would it take that long to learn how to be open, honest, and transparent? So I'm really glad that we have this. I do believe it has a lot to do with the earlier days of our lives. Actually, matter of fact, it even goes down back to, for our culture, my culture, slavery days. We were not able to be open and reveal our feelings. Otherwise, we would have been whipped. We weren't able to share how we feel about a woman openly. We would have been scorned because we supposed to keep the things on the hush hush. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of really just recognizing the history and learning how can we get beyond the issues of the past. And I believe that the people that are around us, if it's not our fellows, it has to be a woman that can see those things, those blind areas, and help us to get beyond them and help us by ministering to us. That's one of the things that has helped every man in the Bible. There was a woman that would minister to him, and I think that's what we need more so nowadays, such as, and as well things like this. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Raymond. And again, it's got some more people chiming. I keep doing it so you all know what you're watching. So thank you for joining us. Again, this is Open and Honest with the fam. We got some of the fellows. It's not even half of them, but some of the gentlemen that are involved with His Favorite Ministries, either as writers, on the back end, field correspondence, any type of thing that they do within His Favorite Ministries. But this group right here are talking about the topics: healing the hurting man, being the head, not the tail, breaking all men are dogs mentality, and the female narcissist. I can't wait to get to that part because some people don't want to talk about that. All right. So Raymond, thank you for that. But I want to get on to kind of piggyback of what you said and then head on over to being the head.
No. Hold on, sis.
Wait a minute, Corey. Okay.
Hold on. It's getting a little sterile in here, and we let's get to the meat and potatoes. Because
okay. Now y'all see why I'm sorry, everybody.
No. I'm going to keep this 100 because we are dealing with something with what AG alluded to it. When we are taught to hide our feelings as a young man, there are certain things that are happening right now. So I'm going to keep it 100 and I'm going to go here. But there is social apathy that happens to us when we don't know how to deal with our feelings. You see young men running around, gunning people down, acting like they ain't got no heart because they don't know how to deal with their emotions. They don't know how to deal with their emotions. However, but if you are a young man and you do have emotions and you show those emotions and you're rejected by your friends or older men, then guess what? He's put over here in the sissy bunch. So guess who's adopting them and have them over there? Okay, let's keep it 100. Because when we don't have no balance on emotions, we're seeing young men either becoming emasculated because they too emotional, because no man sat there and taught them how to deal with their emotions. Okay, so I'll keep it 100 with you. When I was a little kid, I was raised by my stepdad. He an OG, he a gangster. I'm an emotional young man because I'm a mama's boy. So when I would cry and I was looking for affection because my mom gave it to me, quite naturally, I wasn't raised with my biological dad, and my dad that did raise me, he was abusive, but he was an affectionate guy, but we not with him no more. My mom with the thug, okay? I love him to death. He been my mom almost 30, I've been knowing for 36 years. So no disrespect to him. But the reality is this: when my dad that raised me until I was 10 was an affectionate man and he passed away, in comes my stepdad who was a thug. And when I would be emotional, I'm used to going to my stepdad, my dad that raised me, and hugging him, and he crying, letting me cry. But now it's a new man in the house, my stepdad. I can't shed a tear. Back up off of me. He pushes me back. So you know what happened to me? I'm thinking, okay, it's something wrong with me if I'm crying right now. So let me cut these tears off, okay? Then I got my homies in the street. I'm crying. Or what you crying for? Okay, so now you're classified as a little punk, all right? Now, let me tell you what the adverse reaction to that is, because I'm raised in the streets of St. Louis. So if you getting labeled as a little punk because you show emotions, you're like, okay, this is not healthy for me to cry. So therefore, I'm fitting to be something else. But what is that something else? I don't know what it is. So guess what happened? Social apathy kicks in. And now I become like a little sociopath. You know why? Because I feel like even though I got feelings, you become desensitized. You cut that crap off. You don't even want to show it. That way, when you start dealing with women, you don't want a woman to see that, because guess what women do? Let's go here. They reinforce that, because don't nobody want no little punk. If you ain't tough, I don't want you. You know, and so now you're getting all of these reinforcers that's kicking in. Your father that's raising you, you a punk because you cry. Your homies, you a punk because you cry. The chicks, you too soft because you cry. So guess what happens now? Oh, I can't cry? Cool. Let me go ahead and grab this gun then, and I'm going to show y'all who the punk up in here. Because that's what happened to me. I started carrying the gun. Okay? So I'm going to keep it 100, and I'm going to keep it a stack. Now, here's another thing. I could have went another way and been real feminine with that whole thing. All right. Because when you feel the isolation, as Brother Carl said, it's a plan of isolation. Of course, the devil wants you to isolate, because when you don't have no mentorship and no guidance, that's his playground right now. He gets to mold you into what he wants you to be, and that's have that sinful nature. So I just wanted to cut to the chase, because, you know, we talking about it, but let's talk about it for real, you know, because cats out here killing people. And everybody's saying, well, why don't they just open up and talk? Because they the product of what those who didn't learn how to cry produced. You know how they talk? Let me talk with these fists. Let me talk with this gun. Let me talk with slanging this dope. Let me talk this way, because I don't know how to articulate myself when I'm emotional, because it's not a welcome product. Just keeping it 100.
That's why I was waiting for you to get on here. But anyway, no, I ain't even gonna say anyway. Thank you so much, all of you and everyone. I want to acknowledge some people in chat. I just have to do this briefly. I never want to not let people know that I'm thankful that they're tuning in. Shaunique Jackson, thank you for joining us. She gave a heart. Shamika says speak. Dee Dee Cox gave a heart. Kia, hey Kia. Same thing, gave a heart. So, and I'm glad I see a lot of women on here. However, I was hoping that I thought there was going to be a lot more men, which I see. They're just not commenting. But I do see you. So thank you also for tuning in. And I hope that what is being said is piercing your heart and giving you some insight and understanding as you are listening. She said, glad to be here. Glad to have you. Definitely glad to have you. Thank you for tuning in. And I didn't want to move on that way. That's why I was saying, Corey, we can go back. But I wanted to also lead, you smiling. See, Corey and I, we known each other for a while, so excuse our back and forth. That's just how we do. But I did want to lead into this, and I'm going to ask Elder to lead into this, because we're still on the, after what everyone said, and talking about healing the hurting man. The issue with now that we're trying to heal the hurting man, what is going on with them trying to be the head of the household now? Because a lot of homes, y'all know I can get to really talk about it. My home now, I'm looking around, ain't no man here. Like, so right now, my daughter relies on me. It was a time I was married. Most people know what's going on. But there was a time I was married, and yeah, I was able to rely. But now a lot of homes don't have that, or if they do, they're not all the way present. But I do want to point out, though, I am seeing a lot more men stepping up and being the head. I don't want to, because a lot of times, like, I remember dropping my daughter off, but this is before COVID, and dropping her off at school. And they had a concert going on, and I looked around and I told my friend, I said, people need to see this. I saw so many men with their kids going to this concert this particular day, and some were by themselves. I mean, they might have been single fathers, but we don't want to acknowledge that sometimes. So going from the hurting man to now trying to be the head and not the tail, how are we transitioning into that now, Elder G? Like, what's going on? How can that man, now that he's trying to heal, he's trying to get himself together, he's heard what Corey, Raymond, and AG and Carl said, and he's like, I'm getting counseling, I'm doing it, but now I gotta try to maintain and be the head of my household, be the head of in my community, and but I'm just getting over some things.
So I would say to that, and it's so much has been said. I wanted to chime in so much because the brothers really hit on some heavy things, and it's some things that need to be addressed. But I will say this, for those who are in that place of healing and they're already getting counseling, things of that nature, and they're saying, listen, I'm ready to lead. I should be leading my house. I'm ready to move forward. One of the first thing I would say is you have to make sure you have a sure relationship with God. In order for you to lead your family, you have to know him for yourself. And for years, we've heard men who did not have relationship with God to, say to their wives or what have you, well, you have to submit to me. You have to submit because the Bible says, but yet you don't have a relationship with God. So you can't really echo what God said if you don't know him personally. So my thing is, you have to know him. You have to have a foundation. It has to be secure. And I'm not just talking superficial memorizing scripture. I'm talking about applying scripture to your life, understanding the word, understanding what is being said, because being the head is not just working and paying bills. Being the head is also teaching your family. So you have to be able to teach the word to your family. And if you are married and you have a wife, she echoes what you teach to the children. So if that's how we're setting up the hierarchy, many times we don't know the word. So we can't become the word because we don't know the word. We don't have a relationship. So that's just one thing I wanted to highlight. The other thing I wanted to highlight too is this: accountability. You have to have accountability in your life. You have to surround yourself with other men, other men that have gone that way, older men your age. Surround yourself. I always say surround yourself with at least 5 people, because you can't always just lean on one person. But that accountability, someone that's going to hold you accountable and say, listen, you said you were going to do this. Did you get this done? And a lot of times we fail because we feel as if we got it together and we don't need other people. But Jesus was all about people, and he was all about relationships. No man is an island unto himself. So accountability is one of the reasons why many fall into sin or different situations, because they refuse to be accountable. The other thing I would say too, to a man who wants to lead his household and he wants to do the right thing, is to find your purpose. If you don't know who you are, then you cannot effectively lead your family. What is your purpose? Why have you been placed here in the earth? It is not just for you to work, pay bills, and die. You have a purpose. There is a gift. There is something that God put inside of you that needs to be cultivated, not just cultivated, but delivered to the world. It needs to be delivered to your family and then to the world. You are supposed to leave an imprint before you leave this world. So I would say relationship with God, accountability, and make sure you know your purpose. Because if you don't know your purpose, then your wife won't know what she's supposed to do to help you as a helpmeet. So we have to know who we are and why we've been placed here. And can I just add something real quick?
Yes, you can.
I want to add this real quick. Corey said something, everybody said something, but Corey was saying something that was so powerful. And for years, I've heard it, my uncles and, to my cousins. I mean, I've just heard it down through the years, if you cry, suck it up. Right. And so at the end of the day, what happens is now you have these young men that grow into men, right? And they're in relationships, and the women are frustrated because when she wants him to express how he feels, he shuts down. And it's not that he's doing it intentionally. He just doesn't know how to open up, because for so long we've been told to suck it up. And at the end of the day, now we develop a complex because we can't effectively communicate, not just in a relationship, but with other people. Right. And it's very important that we're able to communicate. And one of the things I wanted to say to that too, I got so much to say because y'all hit on so much stuff. The brothers were talking good tonight, but I wanted to say this too. You have to be able to communicate, but a lot of times, here's another thing why men don't necessarily heal, because when we do open up, if you're in a relationship, many times the women will put that in her memory bank and use that. Don't let an argument come up, because she's going to use that against him to hold that over his head, which creates more pain and creates more heartache for him. So then he shuts down. So what I tell women is, listen, if a man is sharing with you, it takes a lot for us to open up. He's not your girlfriend, so he's not going to share like you're talking with your girlfriend. But if he begins to open up, be quiet and let the man talk.
Okay. I'm telling y'all, I specifically asked these 4 gentlemen, 5, I'm sorry, for a reason. One, because I know them and I knew what they was going to bring to the table. And right now the comments are lit up because you guys are really talking. I'm sitting here like, but I'm almost speechless. I don't even know how we're going to continue. But again, thank you, because this is open and honest with the fam, and this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted us to be honest. I do want now. I'm just going to either of you, it doesn't matter, to chime in because I know the next topic is breaking all men are dogs mentality. So what I want to do with this particular stuff, because I'm looking, Sylvia told me be quiet and let y'all talk. All right, Sylvia, I see you. That is the editor-in-chief of his favorite magazine, ladies and gentlemen. She's trying to tell me what to do. But anyway, before we get into that, I just want to piggyback off of something that was brought up already in regards to females, and why I'm doing that, because I see a lot of what I would consider, we got this whole title, the boss lady, boss women, we're in charge, we're independent women, and all these things. And going back to being the head and not the tail, are we, and I want y'all to be anybody to answer this. Those of us, and I'm not saying, I'm putting myself there too. Those of us who are, we're doing big things, and I'm talking to y'all. I see y'all in chat. Those of us females who are doing big things, do sometimes because we feel like, now that we have so many more opportunities for females, has that kind of messed some things up, I would say, as far as the man feeling like he's the head, because it's more and more women feeling like I'm doing this on my own, even if they have a man. It's more like I have a man because I want one, but I don't need him. I really don't need one. And and that's a lot of females are thinking that, because we're doing so many things now, and not saying we're taking over, but look at what's going on. Even now, we have some people may not agree. I know the following I have, so I'm talking to my following right now. Some people may not agree. We have a female vice president even now. So with women taking on doing more things, is that taken away from our men being the head and not the tail? And I'm gonna ask any of you just to answer that. And the reason why I'm doing it, because I see the females that are on here, and it's some powerhouses on this chat right now. So that's why I'm bringing this up.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go jump rope.
So Elder G was talking about, the role of the man being in the head. But I want women to understand that their role is definitely important. And I know that Elder G understands this too, but I guess what I want to talk about and say is, there's the scripture in the Bible that said that if a husband not be won, let him be won by your chaste conversation, referring to the woman. All right. So what I'm seeing right now is happening right now is I have a wife. I've been married for 26 years. It's going to be 27 this year. Okay. My wife makes more money than me. And everybody be like, oh, well, who's the breadwinner in the house? I am. My wife never disrespects me in that regard. You know why? Because my wife is behind me because she knows I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Sometimes I'm going to hit the home runs and it's going to be big money. Sometimes it's going to be her consistently making money, but she never disrespects the fact that I'm still the head of the household. So when we dealing with people, if we really had time, we can go back into this whole feminism movement, because that in and of itself is something that wasn't even a thing back in the day. I remember that even with my mom, even with my stepdad, who was the tough guy, my mom never ever disrespected him, even if he was down on his luck. She always encouraged him, but it wasn't a place for him to stay there, which he did at times. But when I've been down on my luck, my wife has been the one that rescued me. The thing is, what I see, because we see it on TV and everything, as that old country music song used to say, stand by your man, it's not a lot of women that want to do that no more, you know? Because like you said, Sheneè, I got this. I don't need you. Well, then why did God create you from Adam? Ooh. Like, why did he take you from Adam if you don't need me? And then you got to watch that whole language, because I know y'all probably like, dang, he going there. Yeah. Then they get off into the whole lesbian thing, because why need a man? Oh, there's some biblical reasons why you need a man, big time. All right, because that's the way we're designed. We're designed to be in pairs and not to be. It's not good that man be all alone, all one by himself. And so I would tell y'all right now is that, you know, my wife, I think it's the attitude of the female to understand, and bless her soul, you know, she done put up with a lot of stuff. But my wife, hey, she golden, because she always lets my kids know, and anybody else, no matter how much money she making, she always like, hey, he the head of this house. Decisions got to be made. It's him, you know? And so I think it's the attitude of the women. They got to find their relationship with Christ. Like Elder G said, if a man gonna lead, he need to have that thing with God going good. Well, I think if a woman gonna follow and be part of the equation, she gotta have that thing just as connected as the man.
Can I tell y'all something? Again, thank you, Steve. We got more gentlemen coming in. Now they start. Thank you. You guys are helping them open up. They're starting to talk. I want to say what Steve said. Steve said most problems with young men have less to do with women coming up and more to do with an absence of strong male role models. See, we actually talked about that a little earlier. I know you're just chiming in. But if you want to, you know, after this is over, go back and do the replay. They definitely touched on that. But thank you for joining us, Steve. How are you? I appreciate you joining us. There was some other men, but I missed them because all of the chats went crazy and I didn't. So if you guys want to comment again, because I do want to acknowledge the men in the room as well. And yes, some of the females said, y'all getting on us tonight. We got that a lot of that going on. Hey, Rita. Hey, Tanisha, editor-in-chief of Fearless Life magazine. And Sharika Turner, how are you? So again, I want to piggyback off of what you were just saying. And those of you who just gave Corey his kudos as well, I'm letting you know, Corey talks to me like this. This is nothing like, there's been times I've been on the phone and Corey said, why you quiet? Why you quiet, sis? I'm like, I have nothing to say. He's like, oh, because I got you, didn't I? And you need that. I was talking to my mother the other day and she said, a lot of times, you know, you need that besides maybe your biological brother. I have two, and I love them. But I have these my core brothers that will tell Elder G shaking his head like, yeah. Elder G like, yeah. I have my core that I know if something goes down, they're going to get a phone call from me and tell me. Now, if I listen, that's one thing, but I know they have my best interests are in, you know, one, you know, I listen to Corey because he's been married 1,000 years. I love his wife. I love his relationship. I'll listen to Elder G because he's been some things that I've been through. If Raymond chimes in, Carl, we'll get there too. I had maybe one conversation with AG, but I thank God, and I'm gonna tell other females out there, get yourself around, especially if you're some real good friends as men. I'm telling you, it will help you. And again, if you're like me and you stubborn, you can look back and say, you know what, Corey did say that, or you know, AG did tell me, you know, but you have that and you can go back on that. So all you women out there, if you don't have that in another man, it doesn't have to be something sexual, it's just that friendship, you know, you need that. And I mean, Corey's been over here when he came last year you came and been here and we just, I don't know, fell asleep when he left, and I sat there, I said, that's what a lot of women don't have. We don't have that friend, you know, and I feel, you know, it's nothing sexual or nothing like that. It's just, you know, we need a friend that we can call on. But I don't want to get on me because I'm just excited. So let me stop. Can we cut it off? Corey, that's why you're supposed to be helping me as co-host. But tell me when to be quiet.
I don't want to be the one that keep talking all the time. So I'm gonna let
you. But you can say, Sheneè, sis, cut. Because you know, that's why I got you on here, because you know how I can get. All right, so I love what Elder G has said. So the next one again, now I just want y'all to chime in because I feel like that's where we are right now. The breaking all men are dogs mentality. Ladies, we are always saying all men are dogs. All men are dogs. And then we get to the next one. Oh, you just like the other one. Get to the other. You just like this person. Elder G shaking his head because he know what I'm going at with this. So I'm gonna ask either Carl or Elder G to do this one. Raymond, if you want to as well. And the reason why I'm asking Elder G because he give me that look. He got that look. He's giving me that look because he wants to take this one. I know he does. But again, some of us go through these cycles, and I'm looking more into what we call familiar spirits. I don't know if some of you out there know about familiar spirits. The reason why we keep going back in cycles and stuff, because that spirit is familiar to us. It's comfortable to us. So we're in, if one man did something bad to us, the next man too. Then the next man, you don't give that man a chance to show you that, hey, I'm not him. I'm not this person. I'm who I am. Get to know who I am, and then judge your, go off of that. So either Elder G, we heard from Corey already, either Elder G, Carl, Raymond, if you want to take that. I see Elder G trying to bite his tongue. So I think, but go ahead, Raymond, you unmuted yourself.
No, go ahead. Let Elder do it. He wanted to say something.
He's like this.
Go ahead, Elder.
I'll take it.
Go ahead, AG. Take it.
Yeah, where do I want to go? So listen, all men aren't dogs. I've definitely been a dog.
Wow.
But all men aren't dogs. The reality is that label gets placed on all men. That actually has more to do with the woman than the man. It's about who she allows into her space. There's a piece of her that's allowing toxic and dysfunction into her space because that's what she thinks she deserves. That's what she thinks she's worth. So she allows familiar spirits in her space because of a broken place somewhere along her journey that she began to accept that this is what I deserve. This is the best that I have to get in my space. And so unfortunately, what happens is there's an attraction to a certain characteristic. There's an attraction to a certain behavior. Now, she honestly wants better. She wants better, but she allows less than the best because there's a piece of her that says, this is all I'm worth. So for the guy who comes into her space at some point, who is better than all of those other things, who has a genuine interest in her, those past hurts then become his bar. He never is allowed to be better than everything else she's seen because she's not healed. So she accepted less, and then that becomes the standard by which she judges everybody else. So the brother steps up and wants to be a good dude, he don't even get a chance because all she's seen is hurt. So the way all men stop being dogs is she heals first, and then her spirit of discernment and who she lets into her space will change the character and the quality of the dudes that are around her.
What he said.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I'm checking my toes right now, see if my foot is there. Like I'm like, yeah. Okay, toes. AG, you here? Because you just stepped on something. But go ahead, Ray.
He highlighted something that we don't really study in the word, and that's the energies that come from ourselves. There's an energy that comes with everything. Everything has energy. Everything actually has ears to hear, And so when we realize the energy that we project, it might necessarily will help us to look in the mirror sometimes and see ourselves in the eyes of ourself. And then we can begin to see, why are we being drawn to certain other energies that receive us. You know what I mean? There's a needy spirit. There's spirits that dwell on the inside of us. There's that spirit of depression right now that's very heavy. And so that depression spirit has an energy that comes with it that will draw somebody that might be depressed as well. You know, and it's almost like we have to realize that we will attract who we are. And if we realize who we are in Christ, if we realize we're the head, not the tail, above only, never beneath, we wouldn't settle for something and someone below our standards. And I think that what he was highlighting is, yeah, we have to realize that we are, well, I can say this, we are a three-part being. We are a spirit, we have a soul, and we live in this body. And when we ignore the elements of our spirit and realize everything starts in the spirit and manifests into the natural, then we'll realize that, okay, we might just be the issue that has to be dealt with and healed so that we can open up the door for someone else. And it's really sad how a lot of people would turn to the point of closing up themselves after being hurt all those years and never giving the next person the opportunity to have a clean start, a fresh slate, because of all the stains that they experienced in the past. And so I always highlight the reason why you want to heal, the reason why you want to get beyond your past and have no more baggage before you go into the next relationship is so that you don't give the person in the past more than the person in the future. And if we realize that that's one thing that leads to that feeling of all men are dogs, is because of the past. But if you have what you say, if you speak that, you're going to have that. And so if you speak that, you're going to receive that. If you begin to say, okay, I might have experienced some bad things in the past, but my future is much brighter than my past. I will have the better that I deserve because my worth is being more highlighted to myself. I'm seeing who I am, and I'm loving who I am. So that's going to cause an energy of someone else that might want to love you because you love yourself. You feel me? So it's just an energy and spiritual mindset that has to be considered when we look at the opposite sex in a relationship. And that's one thing that I think highlights why most people just don't get what they want, because they're focusing on what they've been through, not what their vision of what they want is. Period.
Can I chime in? Can I say something?
Yeah, wait a minute. We have a question that I want you to say. So I just want to put it out there before it goes up and we lose it. Is there a possibility that I lost it that fast. Wait a minute. Is there a possibility that what necessarily is a dog is really a king in construction sent by God, but God is giving you a journey of humility? So let's keep that in mind. Let me that came from Mika and Tel. Let me put this in my notes so we can catch that later. Go ahead, Elder.
Can we answer that?
You want to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So first thing, my thought on that is, no. I'll tell you why. The book of James says God cannot be tempted with evil, neither would he tempt any man. So why is God going to bring you a bum to teach you a lesson? If that's the case, then I'm just saying it. Let's pray for everybody to get COVID-19 and die for somehow God to get the glory. That doesn't make sense. That's the only way I know how to answer that question. That's it. You know, I think it to go back to what AG said, I think it has to do with you versus somebody else. Whenever I looked at this, my first response was, don't be a dog. Men, don't be a dog. I mean, you know better, do better, be better, plain and simple. But to answer that, no, I don't believe that, because God is so loving and he's so nurturing and he doesn't want those things for you. Why would he do that? There can be a teachable moment in it, but God is not, he's in the healing business, not the killing business. Does that make sense?
You know what, Carl, you raise a point though, but I think you raised some good points. I think the other thing that's important is patience, right? And the reason why I say patience is because I've heard too many of my female friends say, but he has potential, right? And so they they are falling in love. One, they're so in love with the idea of being in love that the potential that they see makes them hold on to something that may not be for them. And so patience in that, watch for a while. See if he becomes the thing that you think he is. If he does not, then don't let yourself get that, that close or even closer than you are. Exercise patience, what I mean? Observe from a distance, be a distant lover. You don't got to jump in both feet, first right up front because you see potential. Mm-hmm. See that those words match those actions. And then if God is telling you, you can move forward in that relationship. But sometimes we move so quickly, and then because we thought he was gonna be, and he never turns out to be.
I want to interject. I get exactly where the brothers are going, but I guess my question would be, I'm hearing is that the only example that I can use to illustrate this is the children of Israel and God. And God said, my children go whoring about, and he's wanting a bride. And he had to wait that long, and he's still waiting that long for them to get cleaned up so that we can have that marriage time. So I guess what I'm saying is, and being a person that's a sinner saved by grace, and my wife married me when I was a bum, had nothing, straight dude from the street, drugs. And I can remember that the people say, don't marry him. Don't marry him. It's 26 years later, 4 adult children later. Now, I ain't been the best, but it goes back to what I said last time. I believe that there are some people that God call you to be together, like and Elder G and all you Bible people can give me, because wasn't there a prophet that God told him to go marry a harlot? Mm-hmm. Was there not a prophet that God told him? He said, so you can understand what God, go through trying to deal with my own bride. I'm just saying. So what I'm hearing y'all say is his potential is not enough. He needs more. But I would beg to differ that if we were sinners saved by grace, all God saw in us was potential that needed to be cultivated. So some women that don't know themselves may not need to be the person trying to cultivate a man, because that's not her job. And I get that's what you brothers are saying. But then there are some people that God have shown you. Now, I ain't talking about this stuff that used to go on in church where the people running up like, you my husband, you my wife. I ain't talking about all that. That was crazy, mad. But I will tell y'all what was said to me. Me and my wife had our first child out of wedlock. And I didn't even know Christ. I listened to Doodle Brown. I'm keeping it 100. That's Luke back in the day, for those who don't know, because I know we super saved on here. But she listening to John P. Key. She meet me. We knew each other from middle school, high school. We have a baby out of wedlock. I leave St. Louis. I go away to college. I'm wilding out. My mama say, she here with your daughter, but she ain't giving her the kind of care, Now, mama, mamas, they overreact. She was doing fine with my daughter. But my mama say, now watch the setup. She say, you need to move her to Kansas with you so you could be around your daughter. What? I'm not moving her to Kansas with me because I got stuff popping up in her, okay? I'm the man on the college campus. But because I wanted to honor my mama, I moved her to Kansas. I done been proposed to by 3 different chicks, all that good stuff. But something about this woman, remember what Adam said, this woman you gave me, something about this woman that I'm married to today, she looked at me and she was like, this was said to me. She said, I'm not gonna leave you alone until you make me an honorable woman before God. And I laughed at her.
Ooh.
But she laughing now.
Mm.
Because I done been here for 26 years and can't see myself going nowhere else.
Wow, cool.
I ain't trying to say I'm perfect as a man, but not by a long shot. But that woman right there, I love her. And there's no other female that has been here when I was even talking about committing suicide for my sinful nature. That woman loved me back to health.
Mm.
So I'm sorry, but I understand what y'all are saying, and you absolutely right. But there's got to be that exception to the rule that I have to believe that for me, God worked a miracle, because it had not been for my wife being in my life right now by the leading of God, even though my elders told her, don't you do it. He not going to ever change.
Mm.
Now, I ain't as, how they used to say it, I ain't where I want to be, but I'm so glad I ain't where I used to be. And she steady walks with me. And I tried to live up to being that man of God in that household that I need to be. And so I'm just saying that I believe that there's something in the Bible that lets us know that if we want to get rid of this whole thing that all men are dogs, I think we have to really look at the reality and the state and the condition of the sin that are in not only the man's life, but in the woman's life. And the narrative that's keep being perpetuated by the devil, that's what it is. So that more isolation can happen. So there's some men that they may just have given their life to Christ, meet this woman. But if this man don't have everything that's needed, she may pass him over and miss the blessing that God had for her in her life because he don't meet this. He just got nothing but potential, and it ain't enough. I hear people say that all the time. But when, and I'm almost done, but when my wife, when she married me, I was thugging on the street. She would talk to me about Jesus, and I would laugh and go hit the club, hit the strip club, and she'd talk to me about Jesus. And then I almost crashed one night, and I ran to her house. Nobody else's. I say, hey, you talking about that that whole angel God stuff? I believe you. And little did I know it was a divine thing from a divine appointment from God. And we have been here for 26 years. And that's all I gotta say.
Amen.
Okay, I'm gonna chime in.
Okay.
I wanted to just share something. Y'all, the more y'all talk, the more it just started dropping like nuggets, and I just wanted to share. I mean, this is so good. This conversation is necessary and it's needed. One of the things I wanted to highlight first is addressing the all men are dogs. That is not so. I tell people all the time, men and women, before you form your mouth to say anything about somebody else, I call it self-examination. You have to examine what's going on with you in order for you to be able to bring about a change or whatever it may be. You got to understand yourself. And I think a lot of people continue in a cycle because they don't understand who they are. One of the greatest things, and I shared this with someone, one of the greatest things is this, and I'm being honest, is that someone mentioned intention, how you can have good intentions. Well, check this out. Environment is more powerful than your intention. You can have good intentions all day, but if your environment, the people you are around, your parents, your guardians, your friends, the people who surround you, they're pouring all this stuff in you, whatever it may be, negativity, cursing and cheating and all of this stuff, your environment will choke out your intention. It becomes more powerful because we don't even realize that subconsciously we revert back to stuff that we learned when we were younger. And what that does is it sabotages relationships, not just between a man and a woman, but any type of interpersonal relationship. It can sabotage it. So I wanted to highlight here that environment is more powerful than intention. Now, The only way environment is not more powerful than intention is if the person understands, hey, this is an issue. I own this issue. I need to change this. That's the only way that's going to change. And I want to connect that to what Corey was saying about potential. I hear what he's saying, but Corey, let me say this to you. Your wife is exceptional. And sometimes women are trying to base an exception and make it a rule. And nowadays, you get what I'm saying? And so you are blessed, brother, because you don't see that often now. And so with that situation being said, you have to understand, listen, and I've been there where I can see the potential, but just because I see potential doesn't mean that you see potential. And if you don't see the potential, then nothing is going to change with you. So at the end of the day, I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste your time because you don't even know your potential. I see it, but I can't make you change. I can't make you see it. And one of the other thing that I say too, I got to get it out, y'all. I'm sorry. One of the other things that I wanted to highlight is this. It is important to know who you are connecting yourself to. It is important to know who you are connecting to. And I'm not talking about this frivolous stuff of just, being handsome or being pretty. No, who are you really connected to? You have to understand that as a male and female. And here's the other thing. One of the brothers started to, I believe it was Raymond that was talking about the soul, about how we're made up, three-part being. Yes, but let's focus on the soul real quick. Understanding who you're connecting with. So the soul is made up of the mind, the will, and the emotions. The first people that touch the soul of a boy or a girl is the parent. It's the guardian. It is the person that raises them. So what I tell people, even in counseling, is I want you to look at the mother and father. And I want you to know that that's a prophecy of what you would be living with in the future. I want you to understand, although that is not the same person, they raise them and they carry certain characteristics that's not going to change because they may not want them to change. So you have to understand that, listen, that's a part of environment. That's a part of the mind, the will, and the emotions, how they think, how they behave. When you think, you choose. And when you choose, you behave in a certain way. So we have to understand that the soul realm, who raised the person, is going to have a greater impact. And it literally is a prophecy. It's showing you who and what you might be dealing with at to a certain degree. It's not the same person, but the characteristics, they put it in them. So you have to understand, listen, all right, can I deal with this? If I don't like what I see, then I need to leave this alone because I can't change this person. They have to want to change themselves. And if they don't want to change, it's going to remain the same. You can't pray that off of them. Can't nobody slay oil on you and get it off of them. Can't nobody, you can call me now, whoever you want to call. You want to call the psychics. It's not going anywhere. Because at the end of the day, if a person does not see on the inside that they need to change, nothing is going to change. Now, they'll change for the moment to get you. But then once they get you, they're going to revert back to what they were before. And the last thing I was going to say is this, and I'm going to be quiet. The thing I tell people is this, men and women, everyone focuses on the Bible, in the Bible that talks about, how, a man should not, it's not good for man to be alone and all of that. And I totally get that. But then they overlook the scriptures in the Bible that says when you get married, there comes a world of trouble. And what I tell people is if you can't handle the trouble, then you need to examine if you need to be married, because everybody is not going to get married. And that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's true because everybody in the Bible was not married. So you have to know that within nobody can tell you that. You have to know that. And that's you and God. You have to understand, listen, this is what works for me, and you may have that strong mentality as a woman, and that's fine, but you have to do a self-evaluation and say, well, do I really need to be married? Or is it, I'm kind of just really in love with what it looks like to be married, but do I really want to be married? Do I want to be married? Or am I just in love with, wearing matching onesies on Christmas and taking really good pictures for engagements and then having a wonderful wedding and then getting the likes and people saying, oh, you guys look good, but let me tag this page so they can feature us. At the end of the day, do you even know who you're waking up to? Do you even know which way your life is headed? Because marriage can be a distraction if you're not careful. And let me say this real quick. And it's something that's powerful. And it's this: the enemy knows he can't get you with bad stuff. So the greatest distraction and the greatest enemy is not necessarily something bad, but it's something good that has nothing to do with your purpose and to distract you from your destiny. I'm done. I'm sorry. I had to get that out.
But
I'm sorry, y'all.
Why are you apologizing? I didn't say Elder stop or nothing. I ain't don't apologize. Go ahead, Corey.
But what I want to say is my response about potential was to what I was hearing being said about potential is not enough. And I'm saying, if we got to look at what Christ is, we all about potential. That's why Christ did it. It's about, you can't disregard or discount potential. You and you're right. You may want to. It's about what somebody said. It's about patience. Do you have the patience? Now I'm not talking about, and you're absolutely right. You need, if a person don't want to change, I get that. But my thing is this. But potential cannot be discounted, because that's all we all are, until we make a decision to say we want something greater. And all I'm saying is when my wife came into my life, it may not be, but I'm gonna tell you this: my wife ain't the only one that's like my wife. I had a mama that's like that. I got a grandmama that's like that. I got aunties that's like that. So yes, I'm blessed to be centered around those type of women. My daughters are like that by design, because we raised them to be like that. So my thing is this: all of us, I'm just saying, we were talking earlier and I was answering that because it just scripturally, okay? I can't say that potential has no place, because then how does this whole salvation thing work without potential?
And Corey, I just wanted to chime in and say you're right. And we cannot X out potential, but we can't overlook the will of a person. Your wife chose to stick with you and to stand by you, and the will is involved. And that kind of is funny, but it kind of ties into what you said about people. And it's happened to me. God said, "You my husband." No, I'm not. No, he didn't tell you that, because he didn't tell me that. And you go what I'm saying. And you get people who are trying to really base their faith. I'm just believing God that this is my husband. Okay, no, let me help you with something. You can't override that man's will. If he doesn't want you and he's sharing with you, he doesn't want you, he doesn't want you. If that woman says she don't want you, then she don't want you. And you got to move.
But that's why I said I ain't talking about this, you my husband, my wife stuff that went on.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, that's nonsense. I'm not advocating that, because I've had that happen to me. I told y'all I had 3 people trying to marry me before she came along. So I'm just saying that the brothers that had potential, and that's all we got. We ain't got the Gucci, the Louis, and all that. We like, yo, babe, hey, this is who I am. You want to rock? So what?
But Corey, I would say something a little different. As I thought about it, right, as I'm listening to you, and I said it, you know, potential is one thing, but you definitely have to be patient. You got to be willing to see if words and actions match up, right? The other piece of that, though, that is a little bit different, that from my perspective, is that God didn't just see potential. Scripture tells us that God knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Bam. God knew the end of the story from the beginning. So he didn't know just that we had potential. He knew the finished product. And so there was a part of, there's a part of what you went through. God knew where you would end up. He knew the woman that was going to be your wife. What I'm speaking to is the woman or the person, right? Because men do it too. So let's just be honest, right? We fall in love with the aesthetics of potential. And we want exactly what Elder said. We want to be in love for the sake of being in love. So that potential, the potential to be relationship goals, is what drives us. And it causes us to be impatient and insert our will over the divine will that God had already planned for us. So that's the person that I think, to your point, is exactly right. That will say, oh, he's just a thug, I can't fool with him because he's not, or he is a thug, but he drives this, he wears that, he has that, and I can see myself looking real good on his arm or her arm because she got certain curves and this, that, and the third. So there's aspects of potential that are, it's all about the look, right? And we will overlook and put ourselves in places that we're never meant to be because potential looks good and we are impatient.
I agree with you. But when you said that God knew us and formed us in the belly and knew it before we formed in the womb, I'm still going to use the word potential because it's theology, and there's a thought called, I think it's called divine self-limitation, which is God, what he does. So he knows us, but he also does, we are creatures of free will still. Right. So just because he knows us from the beginning of the womb, he doesn't tell us what we're gonna do. That's why he said, choose this day whom you will serve.
That's right.
So there's still potential because God he don't say, oh, that one gonna make it. God is not picking and choosing winners. Right. We got free will.
True.
So
I think the biggest thing that we've come across is we have, to everybody's point, we have fallen in love with potential. We've fallen in the really, if you want to call it, it is idolatry of love. Of this is what it's like. It's the ring on the finger. It's the dress and all that. And what happens is now we have taken and put that as the idol. Going back to children in Israel, that has become the golden calf. Where has our discernment gone? Right. Where has our understanding of what do we need to do next? And we kind of have a checklist of this is what I need to look for spiritually. We're so in love with the flesh. And I think that's, there's a lot of people, and Elder G would probably know this, we all actually know it. There's a lot of people married that don't have no business being married. They have no business. God won't in it. God didn't even look at it. Matter of fact, whenever they got married, God turned his head and was like, so how about the Packers? I mean, he won't even play in that game. But my thing is that what we're all saying is working together, which is we have got to, and this is real world, kind of everything we're saying, this is the real world application of it. Quit making your desires your idol. Put God back on the throne and raise your standards up, but also get into the word and raise your discernment up. So then you will not put yourself in a place to where you have to justify someone's potential. Well, he's got potential. No, he doesn't. You got to justify that because nobody else believes it. Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense to everybody. And I appreciate this particular this particular question that was raised and this topic, because I kind of knew it was going to have different perspectives, but at the end, it's still all tied into, again, and I appreciate Corey's his testimony, because you don't hear that all the time. So I think that's where he's coming from, because he's like, my wife, she already knew I had potential, and then you got the other person on the other end, like, oh, he got potential, but I ain't trying to stick around to see what the end result is going to be. So I'm out. I ain't got time for all that. And again, it goes back to even patience. So like Corey said, it's still on the other person's end on if they want to have that patience, if they want to be, go through the process of that with that person. Like my sis with you, Corey, honestly, I know women now that be like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. They would not have no 26-year testimony and 4 adult children later, and they're probably at their 6th marriage by now because they got tired of waiting for potentials. And I have a dream speeches.
Sis, can I say something?
Go ahead, Corey.
I don't know if y'all, I don't know, any of y'all really, have y'all ever got into the word love in the Bible?
Yeah.
Did y'all know there's like 7 different forms? When it's translated, it's just love. But when it's, but its
Yes.
origins of it is like 7 different forms of love. So phileo, if you live in Philadelphia, that's brotherly love. Then there's eros, which is romance. Then there's epithumia, which is lust. Then there's agape, which is unconditional love. Then there's selfishness. Then there's selflessness. And there's and a couple other ones, but I'm not trying to give a theological lesson. But my point is this. There was a book that I got, and I use this when I have did marriage counseling. And it's by a guy named Dr. James P. Gill. And what he discovered when he studied the words love from the Greek understanding is that what we call love is a cornucopia of many different forms of love. And the reason why folk can't fall in love because they sitting up and saying, I love you. But what they're saying is epithumia. I got lust for you.
Ooh.
Right.
And what they might be saying is, I got eros. I'm romantically, I like you. But the guy that's not into the woman really like him, he's got that storge love, which is a family love. Or he's feeling that phileo love towards her. So what I'm trying to tell everybody is this. You got to understand what love is to have these successful relationships, because what he points out in this book is this. Depending on which makeup of love you have, because he was like, if you just got phileo, agape, and storge, you got family love, brotherly love, and whatever kind of love, you got God's love. That means you probably shouldn't be married because you need you some eros, which is some romance in that love. You see? So when we talk about relationships, and I think that's the thing, and we don't have time to go too deep in it, but that's the thing I think that my wife and she learned and I learned is that which combinations of love do we actually have? Because that's what makes the difference if it works or not. I think when we say potential, that is a loaded word because it depends on what is the actual form of potential we're talking about. And I see we're starting to understand that. But when I was talking about it, I'm talking about it from the frame of mind of all of these different forms of love that I know my wife and I had. And I didn't know which combination of love would make us work. However, it happened. So patience made that happen. We had to get to know each other. And like you said, if you realize that you're not into somebody and you just got phileo for them and they just a friend, then, hey, you need to go ahead and say, I love you as a friend. See you later.
I like that too.
I got one question. I know we got to move on. I got one question. And it's like, it's Corey mentioned earlier about, he said something about for all y'all Bible people. Dude, you just dropped some like harmonetics and hermeneutics, gave him 7 different definitions of love. Bro, what you talking about for y'all Bible people?
He a Bible person too. He need to stop it.
Corey. Strong came out, the Bible people. Bible people, okay?
I didn't pay him no mind because Corey, no, I didn't even pay attention to that.
When I say Bible people, man, I've pastored for I don't know how many years. So
yeah.
I am and studied in different forms, theology and all that. But I'm just after you learn Greek and Hebrew and all of that stuff, it's just really just easier to say it plain. So, I don't get caught up into this, I'm pastor this, minister, whoever, and I don't do all of that because at the end of the day, I'm like, I want to be like Jesus. Jesus just talked to people where they were, and that was it. I don't want to get it too deep. It is deep, but I don't need it to be too deep. I just need you to understand what I'm saying. I'm just wanting to be effective in communication. So yeah, Bible people.
Sylvia said, Corey know he a Bible scholar. Hey,
love it though. Hey, I know, man. I'm country, bro. You see me?
He's very country.
Thing, right?
Sylvia told me tell you, Corey know he a Bible scholar. So, I didn't pay that any mind, Carl, when he said that, because yeah, I've seen I've seen Corey preach.
Your Bible.
Moving on, everyone. All right, again, we're having some fun right now, but we needed that. But I didn't want to just cut it off, but because of time and we have a lot more people chiming in, again, I appreciate each and every one of you that has just tuned in. You are getting, again, catch the replay later on. We've been having some great discussion tonight with Open and Honest with the fam. Tonight we're talking with the fellas. The topics, those of you who have just chimed in, it's quite a few of you, praise God. Healing the hurting man, being the head and not the tail, breaking all men are dogs mentality. And this last topic I wanted to start off with is the female narcissist. And I actually had someone come to me and say, hey Josh, welcome. I actually had someone that asked me, so what are y'all going to talk about with the female narcissist? I said, the reason why I thought about that, because for the past year and a half or so, I would say a lot of people are understanding more about a narcissist. You're hearing more and more about that mental illness compared to, and I'm saying mental because it is a mental illness, compared to a lot of other mental illness that we heard, like depression and those type of things, being bipolar, those and everything. And even my studies now that I'm trying to pursue my master's in psychology, I literally just did a paper just on narcissism, and it was so much information that was covered. But what I've been seeing is more women are always putting that whole title on men. So I said, okay, when we have this discussion, we got to recognize that women can be narcissists too. Oh, yes, we can, ladies. We definitely can be narcissists. A narcissist it's not a gender, okay? Because even when we were talking with the ladies last time, we talked about narcissism. Everyone kept talking about, the men being narcissists. And I was so happy when I think it was Sarah and Andrea who brought it up and said, wait a minute, let's step back. Like, I know females that are narcissists. So I wanted Elder to jump in, but he said he wants to, I guess you want to take a break a little bit. But Raymond, since you're already unmuted, or either AG, and then maybe Elder, you give us that whole psychology spill to it later. I just spit on myself, sorry. Give us the whole psychology spill on it, and wrap it up. And just let's talk about it. How are females narcissists? And the reason I'm saying it, why do you think that we keep putting that title on men? Raymond.
Well, I mean, I would say that it's mostly directed toward men, because most of the audiences that we see on television are from women. You know what I mean? So it's obvious that, yeah, there's this buzz about narcissism, but it's been around since the beginning of time. It's the desire to have everything to revolve around self. And when something else poses to be a challenge, that's when we want to crush that to the side and focus back on us. And I think that nowadays, especially now that COVID has hit and everybody has to be isolated and to themselves, they want to focus on themselves because they want people to feel their pain. They want people to experience what they've gone through, and they don't want somebody else to get the spotlight. But narcissism is a mental health issue, as you mentioned, that doesn't give the other person the opportunity to take the mic and run with it. They always want to make it all about themselves and shun everything else around them. And it is a mental health issue that needs to be addressed, but it's also another highlight of someone that's unhealed and may have experienced something in their past that never gave them the light. So now that they have the opportunity to take that time and that power and authority to say, okay, it's all about me. I'm the head of this household, or I'm the parent, or I'm the man, or I'm the woman. Kiss my butt. You know what I mean? People want to have praise and people want to have attention. And in the end of the day, that's because they don't want to be alone. There's a thing called being alone, and that loneliness is a lot of times why people get into relationships, because they just don't want to be alone. They just don't have that self esteem to say, I love myself. I don't need not one person to love upon me. But if someone does, good. Let me love upon them as well. And that's where that division is. A lot of people don't want to love upon somebody else and push somebody else higher. They want to be the one to put themselves to the point where they are shining. But in the end of the day, I think that we have to remember that God made man first, and then he made the woman out of his rib. And that rib to me symbolizes purpose. That rib to me symbolizes strength. That rib symbolizes assistance that God desired for us to have for one another. Without the rib, our chest won't be able to protect the heart. And it's like, it's important to realize I think that's the key thing that this generation has forgotten, is that we need one another. It's not something that is a matter of, I can do it by myself. As we have said earlier, you can't do anything by yourself. God created us to be together and have a companion in this world. And if we focus always on us and we're selfish, not selfless, we miss the point of why we were created. We were created to solve a problem. Everything was created to solve a problem. So everybody has potential to do something great. Everyone has a purpose to fulfill. And when those purposes are not being fulfilled, gaps in this world are being created, thus solving the question of, why am I here? And if we always focus on ourselves, then we can't shine a light on somebody else, because it's all about us. And that's where, I'm hoping that more people study narcissism and aim to focus on themselves and erase and repent for all the narcissistic actions that they've made, and just really get to the point where they begin to be others-minded, selfless instead of selfish. And if we see that and we highlight somebody, like this week, I highlighted other people, because we don't do that enough. We don't highlight somebody else and shine the light on somebody else, because we always want to make it about us. How many times have we focused on ourselves on our timeline or on our post? But it's important to also consider someone else. And so I think that that's one thing I'm glad we're talking about it, because, hey, it's something that has to change.
I see AG face. And I'm like, I know he's like, please let me say, am I correct, sir?
You are. I gotta be, 100 with y'all. I was when we first got this assignment, I had to do some research on female narcissists. And I think the thing that I didn't realize that many women and men, but since we're talking about women, participate in how it plays itself out. Social media is one of the biggest vehicles that allows narcissists to shine. We see people who hit every angle in their selfie, who are obsessed with likes, who are obsessed with material things like cars. And you know what the folks who pay to go to the warehouse to sit inside what looks like a private jet is the perfect example of a narcissist, right? Somebody who wants you to think they got it like that. Somebody who take a picture outside in the garden and tell you they in LA somewhere. Meanwhile, they down in, like they just around the corner or whatever. So I think the aspect of narcissism that really stuck out to me was that they're superficial, and that they're so concerned with how they look. It's the person who posts a picture at 7 o'clock, and by 7:05, if they don't have 100 likes, that picture gets taken down and they put up another picture. It's the person that is so obsessed with themselves that, and Raymond was talking about it, that nothing else matters. Somehow the conversation always comes back to them, right? And we talked about it earlier about men and emotions. Sometimes it's hard for us to share our emotions because the conversations get hijacked by the female who makes it about her. Nah, sis, I'm hurting. I need to talk to you about some things. I don't want to talk about your new shoes or your new skirt or what your post is doing. So I think that um, narcissism is something that we all can be subject to, and we have to be mindful of the tools that have been created that allow narcissists, Twitter, so Instagram, not so much a Facebook thing, because Facebook is a little different, but it's the pictures and the images of who we show. These perfectly curated lives that we show on social media is a narcissist's best friend, the filter. Because you'll never know what they're really dealing with, but they have these images. I just read today about an 18-year-old viral TikTok star who committed suicide. To the world, she had it all together. To the world, she had it all together, but she was struggling on the inside, and she didn't know how to process that, because all she knew was her worth was defined by the likes. And so that's the danger of being a narcissist, because if that's all you're used to, you don't know how, you don't learn, you don't know how to deal with those insecurities, and it can have long-term impacts on every relationship you're in.
And I think
That's
that that's
good.
why it's healthy. It's definitely healthy to put down these phones and they sometimes disconnect from the images
Yes.
that we're portraying, and just let the phone breathe and get back and allow your life to shine. Like, get back to your life, get offline and get back to your life, because that's where really you're living. That's really where you have to perform, not in front of the people that are fans or consider friends, when you don't know half of the people in there. But if you get to the point where you are real with yourself offline, you won't help but to be real with yourself online. But I'm glad that you said that. Social media has been an enemy used for this day and age. And it's interesting that the creators of these social medias don't even allow their children to have an account. Why?
Funny how that works, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
completely
and
agree with that.
Go ahead, Elder.
I wanted to chime in here because I mean, it's so powerful. What AG said, and Raymond, and those that have been chiming in online too. But I wanted to highlight something, is that, this is a field that I work in, and I have to make sure that I'm abreast on certain things. I understand it. I study people, men, women, and children. I get that. And what I share with people is this. First off, yes, social media. Here's the thing with social media. It is in society. It is creating a generation filled with narcissists. And you have narcissists that are getting 3 points online, and they're trying to diagnose someone else as a narcissist when they don't even fully understand what a narcissist is. You read something online, you Googled it, and now you know it. You don't know it. You have to understand. So you have a lot of women and men trying to diagnose each other when they need to be diagnosed themselves. People don't fully understand what this is. And so one of the things I want to highlight is that narcissism is a pathological insecurity. When you are insecure, that means, listen, everyone else, you have to know that you are better than someone else, so you can feel better within yourself. You feel you're better. And then there are certain things that is tied into that, as far as narcissistic personality disorder. They call it NPD, right? And with that, some of the symptoms are an inflated self-awareness, preoccupied with power and success. Another one is a belief, again, that you're better than other people. It requires excessive admiration. Also, here's the heavy one: entitlement, that you have special privileges and everyone else doesn't have it but you. That person also is interpersonally exploitative, which means you take advantage of relationships. You're very controlling, you manipulate, and you're very demeaning in your relationships. There's also the lack of empathy. Now, here's the thing with narcissism is this: playing the victim often plays into narcissism, where it is never me, it is always them. Woe is me, 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 me. It is not about, well, maybe someone else, okay, is going through something. something to consider. I'm moving because I know the hour is late, so I wanted to share a couple of things. But again, this is not gender specific. This is men and women deal with this. And I deal with those who are in the world, but it's in the church too. And we have to address this. And I want to hone in on the signs of a narcissistic female. Okay. And I'm going to say this: highly concerned about her looks all of the time. They don't take no for an answer. They use their sexuality as a weapon to get what they want. They find it really hard to apologize and accept their faults. They shift the blame onto other people. They are aggressive and inflexible. She may even, her goal is to manipulate, not negotiate. She becomes a master manipulator. And she is highly competitive, and she has to feel the need to feel superior. The other thing I want to say is this: it is like having a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde personality. He or she can be charming in one moment, and then the next moment they can be furious and angry. I want to drop this because, again, it can go for both men and women. How do you deal with this? I want to give 3 points on how to deal with a narcissist. The first one is you have to learn how to adjust your expectation of that person. If someone broke their arm, you would not expect them, or their leg, you wouldn't expect them to jump up and to function as if nothing is wrong, because you understand something's going on with them. So we have to adjust our expectation of a person who is a narcissist and say, listen, okay, it is what it is. This is who they are. The next thing is, don't try to change a narcissist. You will spin your wheels, you will become frustrated, and you will become angry, because a narcissist will never change until they can acknowledge that they need to change. And check this out: it's not enough just to acknowledge it, but now you need to get professional help. And I'm not talking about Buki and Junebug and the rest of the people on the way. I'm talking about going and getting some help from someone who is licensed, someone who's certified, degree in that area, a professional that you can sit down with, okay? So don't try to change a narcissist. And the last thing is, if you are dealing with a narcissist, don't feed into, what's the word I'm looking for? Don't defend yourself. The more you defend yourself with a narcissist, the more fuel it adds to their fire. So it comes to a point where, and I help some of my clients, I teach them a technique. It's like the gray rocking technique. It's like you're a gray rock. They say, hey, well, how are you doing? I'm good. How are you? Like it's very, very straight to the point. Because the more information you give a narcissist, the more fuel it adds to their fire. So understanding a narcissist, understanding the traits of a narcissist, but then understanding how to deal with a narcissist is essential. And I hope that helps somebody, but I had to share that.
And I appreciate that. And I honestly, it is 9:26. I said I was going to end at 9:30. I want each of you just a minute each. We'll start with Carl, and just any words of inspirations, anything on your heart that you want to share. This is your moment to just share what's on your heart, and then we're going to take it home.
Couple things. First of all, women, know we love you. This is never should be intended to be a platform of demeaning you or putting you down or beating up on you. We're just giving you the blueprint, if you will, to understanding us, our hairy self. We're giving you the blueprint to that. Men, to you, I would say, here's what I see in men most: quit being passive. Quit being passive. Make a decision. Once you make a decision, stick to what you make. That's the biggest thing. Don't feel overwhelmed. Go back and watch this again. Get all the nuggets. Watch it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, whatever you need, because at the end of the day, you've got some information in this from everybody that was up here. I feel really honored to be a part of this because you guys have some information. So please go and do your homework. And I appreciate all of you guys, and I love all of you.
Thank you, Carl. AG.
First and foremost, thank you for the invitation. I'm honored to share this space with these brothers. Takeaways from tonight. There's no one way to address any of this. All of us have different perspectives. All of us have different experiences. Some of what we said may resonate with the listeners and those who watched. Some of it you may not find, that it's useful. But I would encourage all of us, as we are going through this thing called life, just to spend some time talking to God, right? Because we can only give you what we've been through. Now, that may benefit you, but ultimately, the only way I'm going to get better as a man, to be better for my wife, to be better for my children, to be better for my family, to be better for my siblings, the only way I'm going to continue to grow and be better is to stay in connection and relationship with God. So anything that I offer with a sense of humility and a dose of grace, because it's the same grace that God gives me every single day. Because you ask these people in my house, they'll tell you he was talking good tonight, but sometimes he get on my nerves.
Oh, wow.
So it's a process for all of us, and with God's help, we all gonna get better one day at a time.
Thank you, AG. All right, Ray, you got the mic.
Man, we got some good brothers on this line. Message to all the ladies, I would say to recognize that every man is different. We all have a different environment, as Elder was talking about. We all have a different environment that we came from, and we all have a different purpose in life, a different character. And when you box every man to be the same way, you kind of fail in recognizing the realities of life. We all are different. We come from different backgrounds, and so we all have a different destination at the same time. And so realize that. And it's not a coincidence that we have two forces in this earth, good and evil. Either God sent you this person or the enemy. It's up to you to decide and recognize what that is and where that person came from. And for the fellas, it's time to be about our purpose. It's time to focus on ourselves sometimes and not have a fan club around us, but give time to love yourself and focus on yourself to the point where you're fulfilling your purpose. I don't even believe that if you have no knowledge of your purpose, you're really qualified to have a helpmate. So prepare your life, prepare your future, and be the leader that God wanted you to be. He called you on this earth to have control and dominion and have authority in this earth, not be the tail. And so it's time that, fellas, you get in position so that we have an example to shine the light of. Us. God wants us. The success of every nation is determined by the male population. And if we can get to the point where we as men get in position and not the bad example of that position, we're able to not be that dog what they're used to, but be that king that they need. And so for everyone, it's just that time to focus on like he said earlier, the relationship with God. Ultimately, that will be the best indicator and the guide for our lives on this earth when it comes to relationships, when it comes to life, when it comes to our own direction in life. And so that's what I have to say. And I look forward to the next opportunity that we have to speak to you all. But stay connected to his favor, because that's what we're all about. We do this on a regular basis. And so, yeah, this is not the first. Stay connected. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Ray. All right, Elder G, I'm going to let you close out, and then we're going to bid adieu to our audience and go over some things, and that's going to be it. Go ahead, Elder G.
Well, listen, just want to thank you for having this and to have all of these powerful brothers on here. Tonight, it was awesome. And I get excited when, stuff like this happens, because everybody begins to share their wisdom and knowledge and just to shine some light on certain things. But I wanted to say, I guess speaking to those men and women that are watching is to cultivate your relationship with God. Make sure that you are cultivating that, you're growing, you're developing, and that is your number one focus. And then to find your purpose and get busy in your purpose. Anybody that is for you will align with your purpose and what you're supposed to be doing. And then the last thing I wanted to say too is that, life is a journey. All of us experience life. Life happens to each and every one of us. But I wanted to speak to that man who feels like he's made a mistake. I want to share with you, you made a mistake, but you are not your mistake. That's what you did. That's not who you are. That was a place in life, but you don't have to remain there. And so I want to let you know that you can overcome and you can be better, you can be healed, and you can do some great things. You just have to understand that you are not your mistake.
Say that last tagline, Elder G. Go ahead, do it for everyone. Go, I want to hear it.
Now that you asked me, I can't. I believe we can change the generation. My man, of time. I can't even say it right. I'm done.
I'm sorry.
AG over there laughing at me, man.
If you're not on Instagram following us, please follow us, and you will understand where this laughter is coming from with his post that's on every Monday. So we're gonna wrap it up. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm usually got a lot to say then, but I'm actually pretty speechless. There's some things I really need to think about. I don't know about you. I don't care if you're a male or female watching. There was some great things that was said tonight. I wish we had more time. I'm even thinking about doing a part 2 to this, and adding some more elements to this, because I really feel that more men need to share what's going, not just what women need to do, just as a whole. It's more questions I think needs to be asked, especially now in these days. But before we go, I am going to give the honor to Mr. Carl to pray us out. Before I do so, please be on the lookout for the next Open and Honest with the Fam. Again, last month we had the ladies speaking some truth. Tonight you heard the fellas. Next month, which is what, March? Next month is March. Yeah, next month, March. Be on the lookout. You're gonna hear some more people, and then I'm grabbing the married folk within his favor ministries, and they're gonna chime in and be open and transparent. Some of them are on here, so I'm letting y'all know y'all getting that group chat pretty soon, and then from there you're gonna see some more. By the time the end of the year hit, everyone that you will see have at least been on here twice. This is something that was led on my heart to do once a month, and just have people be transparent, because I feel like transparency is going to help heal us, heal other people. If we just be honest that, hey, yeah, I'm a Christian, but it's some things I need to get off my chest. I need to talk about, and I need to school you all and let you know that you can overcome these things. I definitely got a lot out of this, and it's some things I need to work on too. But Carl, if you can pray us out. Again, ladies and gentlemen, catch the replay. I probably will redo this sometime next week. And also, I'm going to put a link in the newsletter tomorrow that goes out tomorrow. So you'll have a chance to see it again. Thank you for all the support. And I appreciate you as always. Love. And His Favor Ministries is out. And Carl, pray us on. I'm out. Sorry.
Father, we thank you for this wonderful time. May we just breathe in your breath and take in your knowledge, your wisdom, just the essence of who you are. You're about love. You're about understanding. You're about learning. And we thank you that we have learned so much on tonight. I pray specifically, and I bless everyone that is watching and listening right now. I pray a special blessing over them, that they will take this information as we take it, and they will study it, and they will learn, and they will begin to grow, and that we will become the exact idea that you have for us, that we would fulfill every single thing that you have for us. You said in your word before the foundations of the world, that we would accomplish all that which you have for us. I bless each and every one that is watching right now, that we have a successful and prosperous rest of the week. Be safe until the next time. And Lord, we just bless you in this wonderful time together. In Jesus' name we pray. And everybody said, amen.
Amen. And after prayer, there's nothing else to say. Everyone have a great night or great morning whenever you see this. God bless.